Hey, what's going on, ladies and gents? Hopefully everybody's having a good day, night, morning, evening, whatever's wherever you're at. Back again with the Galaxy. Yes, I'm much more rested now, full of energy, ready to do this now. Hell, I feel like I could run a damn marathon anyhow, but I'm not running a marathon. Yes, got the Galaxy Galaxy 4090 Hall of Fame card out. And the reason why is because, as I was saying last night when I did the teardown of it, it's going to get the water block and it's getting water cooled. And with that being said, it actually came in. It was a 2-day shipping, which I wasn't even aware of, but it's fine and dandy. It gives me something to do because I've got a few CPUs here that I've also got a bin for the customer that the customer had sent me. So got a few CPUs. I got a bin for them yet, but nonetheless, here is the Galaxy or the Galax 4090 Hall of Fame water block. So there it is in all of its glory. Yes, it comes with the thermal pads already installed, which is cool. I like that. In my opinion, I like it. And yes, there is a back plate to it, which here's the back plate. Very nice back plate. In my opinion, I like it a lot. So yeah, that's pretty much that. And this time around, I'm going to strip down the card. This is what this video is going to consist of this time, is I'm going to strip down this card to nothing like I had it yesterday. And in this video, I am going to lap the 4090, and I am going to apply liquid metal to it and apply the water block to it in this video. So without further ado, what do you say we take and we get down to business, huh? So here we go. I put all the screws back in it, so you're gonna see the teardown as if it was the card was never torn apart. So we're gonna do this all together. But I've actually got to change my bit on my. I gotta change this bit here, so just give me a moment while I grab the correct bit, because this is a small standard bit, but I'm still gonna keep that because I gotta pop that cooler off. But I gotta get the correct bit for these small screws, which I've got right here already, which it should be this bit right here. Bingo, that bit's the money maker. So here we go, and I'm just gonna set these screws over here on my mouse pad. So I gotta keep everything together, because when at the end of this path, when all this stuff gets sent back, or when the stuff gets sent back to the customer, when his build is done, everything gets sent back. Obviously, I gotta make sure everything's together so I can send him back everything. I'm gonna send him back the air cooler. I'm gonna send him back everything. As overall reality of it is, this is all his stuff. The customer owns all this, so I gotta make sure the customer gets all of his stuff that he paid for back. So instead of just tearing down the card now, I'm unscrewing the back plate. The good thing is when I put this GPU back together last night, this RGB emblem right here, it actually plugs into the back side of the motherboard. I never plugged it back in because I knew I was tearing it back apart again. So that's that. And that water block that I had showed you guys already, that is that does have a RGB, which is adjustable RGB, which means you can change the colors, etc., which I'm not worried about that at all. To me, I can care less about the RGB. However, I am going to leave it in the water block, but if the owner of the card and the water block wants me to remove the RGB, I will be more than happy to remove it from him. And if he chooses me to do that, yes, I will remove it. And yes, I'll even send that piece of RGB back to him, because rightfully he owns it. It's his product. The only way I won't send something back to the customer is if the customer tells me just keep it, he don't care about it, whatever. At that point in time, okay, fine, no problem. I'll add it to my collection and somehow, some way, maybe use it or whatever. I don't know. I'm actually kind of glad that I did the teardown of this. Excuse me. I'm kind of glad that I did the teardown of this card yesterday, for the simple fact of I don't have to explain the teardown and all that. I can just blast right through it now, because I already did the video of it, so I ain't got to worry about it. I'm going to unplug these plugs here, unplug this one, unplug this one. pop the back plate off, which there's the back plate right there. No more back plate. With that being said, that's all done. I don't need that bit no more. Put that bit off to the side. And actually, yeah, no, I don't need that bit no more. And then I remember from yesterday or last night, I'm gonna pop these screws off, because these screws, this this 3-pin, or this 3-slot spacer actually is going to go on the water block. I don't know, my opinion, I kind of think that Galax, when they made these cards, you see, well, when I get this off, you'll see that they have the gold trim around the DP ports and the HDMI ports. My opinion, I kind of think that this spacer should have been done in gold too. Just my opinion. But then again, too much of a good thing, or too much of, maybe it may not have looked good. I don't know. Maybe they tried one and it didn't look good. I don't know. I can't speak on that. I already know where that screw went. It actually fell down on my leg. And that one did the same thing, bounced down on my leg. I'll worry about that in a second. It's only one screw. It's not going to hurt nothing at all. Now I'll pop this overclock button off. There it is. Put that off to the side. If you see that motherboard come on, it's because it still is plugged into the motherboard, which, there you go. And now I'm going to take, and I am going to pop what I call the retention bracket. At least I'm almost positive that's the name of it, but there's the one screw right there. There's the other screw right there. There's the other screw right there. And this retention bracket does get used on the new water block. So parts like this are very important to keep handy. You don't want to just toss them to the side. And let's see if I can do this without having to pull out the heat gun this time. I don't see why I wouldn't be able to, because right before I did this video for about a good half hour to an hour, I ran the card. I mean, I didn't push it, you know, I didn't do no benchmarks or something like that with it at all. I just ran it on more or less normal factory, and I put no crazy load on it. But hopefully the paste and stuff like that is still, yep, it is. It's still warmed up enough to where I can do it. There we go. And yes, that stuff that you see, that's the cheap thermal paste that I threw on it, because last night when I took it apart, I'm pretty sure you seen the thermal pads rip. So I put the cheap thermal paste on it. Stuff from Best Buy. I think it's got like 10 watts of conductivity or whatever. But I put it on just so I could run it, because I wasn't sure how quick the water block was going to come in. But now that it's in, here we go. And pretty much now you're just going to see, I'm going to start taking all these thermal pads off, because the water block, as I had already showed you, which I will show you again, the water block comes with it all already installed, so I don't have no need for none of the thermal pads on here. So I'm going to take and clean off all these, I'm going to clean off all this thermal paste, get it all cleaned off, clean up all the chips, so that way there's no oils from the thermal paste, nothing like that whatsoever. I'm going to clean everything off. So... And no, I'm not rushing doing this, so the video is going to be however long it's going to be. And this thermal pad's going to be stubborn. Maybe I can get it to not be stubborn. There we go. I'm so glad that the customer, the owner of this car, decided to go water cooling. I cannot stand air cooling. I'm all about water cooling. But in the same time too, though, if the customer didn't want water cooling, he wanted to stick with air cooling, I can't say nothing about it. It's what the customer decided to go with at that time, if he went that route with it. And no, I'm not even trying to come close to saving these pads for the simple fact the water block already has them installed. As you see, I'm going across the chips, and yeah, there's a bunch of little microscopic chips here. I'm not putting pressure on it whatsoever. I'm literally letting the weight of the tweezers, when it's on top of stuff, I'm letting the weight of the tweezers do the work. And that looks like all the thermal pads. I got a little bit right here. Now what I'm gonna come in and do, I'll break out the good old rubbing alcohol, fill that up, and now's where I just start chewing through Q-tips like they're candy. And I'm just gonna clean everything off now. Now the reality of it is, it's just the top of the chips that I want to get the thermal paste off of. The thermal paste that's stuck between the chips, you ain't got to worry about that. It's not going to do nothing. It's not going to affect the cooling on a positive or negative note. It ain't going to do nothing. Your main concern is the top of the VRAM chip. That's your main concern. I mean, the PCB, you don't have to make it look spectacular because, well, realistically, again, when the water block is on it, you ain't going to see none of it all. This is all I'm doing. There's that set of VRAM. Even though there's no thermal paste, the thermal paste or the thermal pad, even though there's nothing on here, I'm still going to clean these for the simple fact the oils from the thermal pad. I want everything to be fresh, clean, and spotless. When I take the brand new ones on the block, when I meet the block to the GPU, I want everything to be spotless, clean, uncontaminated, etc., etc. And even though it may look clean, it's not clean enough to me. In my opinion, the only way to get it 100% clean, Q-tip and rubbing alcohol. It's the only way it's going to be done. So again, I'm not worried about the paste that's on the actual PCB itself. It's just getting it off the top of the VRAM chips. That's what's most important. What's a little bit on the sides and between the chips, it's not going to make a bit of difference at all. It's not going to hurt the cooling at all. I mean, it may benefit it. I don't know, but overall, for what you'll notice, it's not going to hurt it at all. And in terms of a benefit, will it help it? It's not going to help it anything that will actually make it worthwhile to know. Where is not what I'm looking for? I can't find. Oh well. Get back to this now. So just clean off the GPU itself. Make it look all nice and pretty. I don't know what it's worth, but I'll take and zoom in for you guys so you guys can really see it. There. Try to get that centered for you. There, now you can really see it. And no, I'm not putting any force on this whatsoever. It's the weight of the Q-tip. I'm letting the rubbing alcohol and the weight of the Q-tip do the work. That's all I'm doing. I'm going to get a little bit down here because I do see a little thermal paste, but again, it doesn't really matter. Realistically, I don't have to wipe off this trim, but I'm just doing it to do it. And yes, even though that there's a thermal pad on, I forgot what these chips are called, but even though there's a thermal pad here, I'm going to take and clean these off as well. Or let me zoom out so you can actually see it. The thermal pad that was on these chips here, even though they didn't leave no mess, I'm still going to clean it off. Clean them off, I should say. Again, I don't care what's on the side of the chips. I care about the very top of them. Because that's where the actual contact is going to be made, on the sides of the chip. It's not going to hurt the chip. And if it does benefit it, it's going to be so minor you're never even going to notice it. And when the water block is on the GPU, when the water block is on the card, you're never going to see it. So, and there's that. And I do know that there was a pad here on this one here as well, so I'm going to do these as well. Which is very simple. Just going to go over top of each chip and just wipe it off. And that's that. So realistically, this card is done on the aspect of getting it all cleaned off. Now all I gotta do is lap that die. And how I'm gonna lap it is I'm using 1000 grit wet dry sandpaper. Now on the end of lapping, there's plenty of ways that you could do it that are the right way, etc., etc. Everybody has their own way of doing it. In my case, I do not use, well, for GPUs wise, I don't use a block at all. I'm willing to bet a lot of people are gonna say I'm crazy. I don't know what I'm doing, this and that, etc., etc. I can't tell you how many people I've seen lap by doing it by finger, and it has no problems at all. CPUs, I'll do it, which I'm gonna do a delidding of a CPU. I'm gonna do a video on that shortly, but I'll take and I'll have the CPU. I'll have a piece of sandpaper on the table here. Then I'll have it taped down to the table, and I'll go back and forth. With GPU dies, I just use my finger and I go back and forth, and I'm consistently looking directly on top of the CPU so I can actually see how flat it is. Because even with something flat, like a flat block or sanding block or whatever, it's still not going to be 100% flat. For the simple fact of the matter is, when you sand, yeah, you're taking the unevenness out. But when you sand, you're also creating more micro imperfections, because when you flatten out the surface, sanding takes away material. So you're creating micro imperfections. Even if you get a straight edge out, put a straight edge across it, yeah, it may look straight. But if you put a microscope to it, you're going to see that in reality, there's still gaps there from the micro imperfections. That's the entire point of thermal paste, liquid metal, etc., etc. It's to fill in those micro imperfections. And for my other GPUs, where I've posted on the temperatures being crazy low with the crazy clocks, like with my Strix 4090, how I got the clocks with the temperatures and all that, I lapped that GPU myself. I lapped that after getting my hands back on it. I lapped it again by finger, and yeah, you see the results of that. So without further ado, I'm going to get into this. And how I'm going to do this is I'm going to use just my typical mixture that I use for the water cooling, which is a 50-50 mix. This came out of my water cooling bottle, which is 1 gallon of water to, I think, 3 or 4 tablespoons of antifreeze. It's not going to hurt the GPU at all. I'm primarily using this because it's the water, and I'm going to use it on a GPU. When it's all said and done, the antifreeze will not hurt it at all. Every card I've ever lapped as well as GPU I've ever lapped, I've done the same exact thing, never hurts it. It's just gonna come down to it when it's done lapping. I make sure I'll just take it, I'll make sure that the PCB is cleaned of everything, and how I'll do that is I'll hold the PCB on the side and I'll squirt it rub in alcohol, let it dry off, and then I'm good to go. So again, without that being said, without any further ado, again, squirt that on there. And all I'm doing here is I'm just taking, and as the owner wants, not a crazy lap, more like a polish. All I'm going for what the owner wants. He wants a polish on the die to where just the NVIDIA logo is off. That's all that's all the owner wants, which is what I'm gonna do. And how I'm gonna do this is just like this. This is all I'm doing. Not going crazy with it at all. I might grab a tougher grip because this is going to make this video insanely long, but don't know yet. But at the same time too, at lapping, I don't care who you are lapping, you don't rush at it. You can't rush lapping. There's just no way around it. Now, I'm not telling anybody to start lapping, or who laps or who has never lapped, to this is how you do it. I'm not saying this is how you do it. This is how I do it when it comes to GPUs. To me, it works. For me, it works. It's never let me down. Now, if you take and you try to do it like this, or you try to lap period, and you screw up your GPU, that's on you. I never told you to do it. So why, before you try to lap anything, you always do it on garbage hardware that you don't care about. To be honest with you, I don't even know if I'm going to go as far as to get rid of the logo. It's more like I just want it to be like flat, meaning I can't feel the logo when I run my fingers over it, or even run my nail over it, whatever. Which I'm almost there. And believe it or not, you may not believe it, but believe it or not, just looking over the top of this die with the light in there, I can actually see where the low spots and high spots are. That's why you'll see me each time I go back to doing this, I'll focus on one spot and then I'll start moving back and forth. Because I can already see the low and high spots when I'm just by looking at it, just by seeing how the light is reflecting off of it. You want the light to be evenly across the whole thing. There, I got a nice bite on that one. I'm actually going to turn this around. Now let's come down to it. I mean, it's not boasting or anything. It's just stating simple facts. I'm doing what I'm doing. Anybody can say I don't know what I'm doing, etc., etc. I really don't care. It doesn't faze me one bit. But realistically, let's put it this way: the customer knows what I do. The customer knows who I am. We've conversed for a while over on a lot of different things. He's seen results of my stuff. He's seen results of other things that I've done. If I didn't know what I was doing, you really think the customer is going to send me a graphics card that costs $3,000 plus dollars for me to be doing this if I didn't know what I was doing? So for those who are going to come out and say you don't know what you're doing, this and that, just think about that one. Trying to keep this in the frame. As I already said, I don't care how long this video ends up, because talking lapping here, I'm not rushing. I don't care. If you're not willing to put the time into something, you can't expect good results. That's the fact of life. You only get out of something what you put into it. All right, now I'm gonna take and clean off that dye. Actually, I've got that NVIDIA logo pretty much gone. Get a little bit of rubbing alcohol going on here. Just clean off this dye, see where I sit. Well, there's the lap so far. That NVIDIA logo is pretty much gone. And as you can see with the light there, that is damn near dead on. I do have to catch the little edge here on the top a little bit. But as you see that light going across that die, that is damn near dead on. Just a corner here I gotta hit. Yeah, it just looks like these 4 corners I gotta hit, mainly. And that die is perfectly flat. That's by finger. So yeah, it goes to show you right there, I know what I'm doing. As I know there's probably going to be haters that come up, and that there's going to be haters saying something about this at some point. It always is, whenever you do something that somebody else can't do or whatever. So now I know I got to hit each one of these 4 corners. Because the whole point of that, to see the flatness, is when you put the light on there, like I showed you on the camera, you want the light to be across the entire die. And the only spots that I noticed that was a little too high still was each corner. So with that being said, I'm just going to focus on each corner now. And I'm not going to go crazy with it, because it wasn't that far off. This is where I'm going to periodically jump back and forth and check. Good, I'm glad I got an actual washcloth in here, because it's gonna take me way too long with Q-tips to get all that water off. Let's see how that looks in the light. Cool, I got those corners done. See how that at the top of that chip, see how that light goes across perfectly fine? No problem at all. That's a perfect lap at the top right there. Let's check out the bottom. Got to get just a little bit in the corner right there. And the reason why it looks the way it does with the light is because the scratching, because I only focus on the corners. But if I went across that whole die like that, it would have been fine. Because you're seeing the reflection from the sanding. But once I get these corners down, I'm going to give it an extremely light sanding across the entire die to pull all the sanding, to pull it all in together as one. My main thing right now is to make sure it's flat. There's that. There's that. I'll pull the washcloth in. It's a very ever so slight bit of just a little ever so slight bit of pressure. By pressure, I'm talking about the weight of my hand with just a tiny bit, just like that. Nothing crazy. Then pull it back into the light. See the top, how the top is perfect right across. That's what I want. Bring the light down to the bit. Look at that. It's a perfect lap all the way across. See how that light is all the way across, solid, perfect. Now bring it back, bring it to the bottom. See how that light is all the way across, perfect. Now I'll go across the entire die and make sure it stays all the way across, perfect. That is a perfect lapping right there. That is perfect. I don't know if I can get it. Well, yeah, because the camera's at an angle, so it's not going to pick it up being flat like this with the light. But if I'm looking at it from the light flat, it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. Maybe I can. I don't know. I'm going to try it. But I'll even take him. Yeah, it's not going to work. The camera's not going to pull it up. But with that being said, now I'm going to come through with rubbing alcohol on the card itself. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to squirt this a little bit. Put this cap on. Because now what I got to do is from the water, I'm going to do this off camera a little because I really don't have no spot to get it on camera, but I'm going to squirt all this PCB around here. I'm going to squirt all this with the rubbing alcohol to take it off, to get rid of that water, because the water will underneath the socket, etc., etc. So I'm going to use the rubbing alcohol here. I'm going to use the rubbing alcohol and squirt down the PCB to get rid of all that water. I'm going to squirt it a couple times and let it dry. Then once it dries, I'm going to apply liquid metal to this. I'm going to apply liquid metal to the water block and install them. No, I'm not going to put no clear coat or anything on these chips. You don't need it. I mean, yes, you could do it for added insurance, but I don't need it. I've done this way too many times. There. Got that saturated. Now I'm going to hit it with my heat gun to dry it all off. And then I'll hit it one more time with rubbing alcohol to wash everything away. Get rid of the sandpaper. Now, yes, I'm going to hit this one more time with the rubbing alcohol just for added insurance to get all the possible water that's out there that I may have missed. I'm going to do it one more time with the rubbing alcohol. Going over the entire PCB. What I'm doing is I'm squirting the PCB from the top all the way across this entire area. That's what I'm doing. I'm just letting it run. I'm letting it run down the PCB. And what that's doing more or less is I'm flushing the PCB. Anything that may be underneath the chips, the GPU, etc., I'm flushing it away. Alright, so last time I'm going to do that, I'm going to come back here. I'm going to pat the GPU dry with a washcloth. This is just to get the heavy stuff. And now I'm going to come back in with the heat gun to make the rubbing alcohol evaporate. Can I zoom in? Yeah, I can. Perfect. There we go. Alright, let's just overlook this PCB. Seems to be everything is all dried. But there's your PCB again with your beautiful perfect lapping. As you can see, that light going across it, beautiful solid all the way across. All right, there that is. Now that that's done, I'm gonna set the PCB to the side. And it's time to start prepping the water block. Which here's the water block right here. And it's very simple. Just peel everything off. There's that. There's that. There's that. And there's that. Man, they got so many thermal pads on this. Jesus. They like went thermal pad crazy. But hey, there's no such thing as too many thermal pads. Hey. This one's gonna be a bugger. There we go. I think I got it. There we go. I got it. Man, that blue plastic protective tape, man, that thing's like it glues itself to you, I swear. Just give me one moment. I got my bottle of water here. Need a little mouthful of water. Gotta get the palate wet. That's better. Oh my god, I've never removed so many protective thermo stickers, protective layers, whatever you want to call it, on one block before. This is nuts. But I'm not complaining at all. I'm really not. My personal opinion, I said my personal opinion, I don't care what GPU it is, every part of the water block, being that you can get thermal pads in all different thicknesses, my personal opinion, every water block, or GPU, whether it's air cooled or a water block, if it's got electricity running through it, it needs a thermal pad. I only say that because to me, especially if you're running ambient temperatures, there's no such thing as too cool. But again, it's just my opinion, because just how I am with my hardware, I don't care what it is, I want it to run as cool as possible. That's just it. Is the cooler it's gonna run, the cooler it runs. Oh, I almost forgot one. The cooler it runs, the more efficient it will run using the less resources. And there's that. All right. I'm gonna take and see if I can get if liquid metal is gonna take to that without me having to scuff it up. But that's the liquid metal that I got off of Amazon. It has the 130, I think it's 36, 37 watt rating. Realistically, I don't care if it doesn't do any better than the conductonaut. I don't care if it doesn't do any better than that. For a simple fact is, two 5-gram syringes, I already proved it in my other video on this, 2 5-gram syringes would run me $100. And that's 10 grams for $100. I got 10 grams right here for $43. Not arguing, not complaining, buying it. So even if I get the same results, I don't care. It's worth it to me. I just gotta find where my syringe went to. I just had this stupid thing too. Where did it go? Sorry, I'm knocking the camera all over. I just had the syringe. I just had the thing. Oh wow. Here it is. Like I said, I'm going to try this first without scuffing up the surface. If it works, great. If not, then I got to scuff it up. So how this is going to work is I'm just going to take and gently open this up. And there's the magic liquid metal right there. Now let's take my syringe and stick my syringe inside of it and suck it up. And I'm going to close the lid. That's all she wrote. And here we go with the application. I'm going to put a little dot there first just to start out with. Because if it ends up not spreading, then I got to take it off, and I don't want to waste the stuff. See if I turn this block a little bit. Sweet, that's going to spread with no problem. I could tell right off the bat. I'm so used to working with this stuff, I could just tell. And this is all there is to it. Just paint it on. Come on. There we go. So it's kind of tricky to spread it with all these thermal pads here, but oh well, it's life. So I'm so used to working with liquid metal. It's the only thermal stuff that I work with. So for me to spread this, it's like I could legitimately do this in my sleep. I've been working with this stuff so long. I'm going to put just a hair bit more on there. There. Alright, that's all she wrote on the end of that. Now I must wipe this off the side here. There's that. The water block is set. Now I'm going to come back to the GPU. Here's the GPU. And let's dump it on the GPU. This should take with no problem. Hopefully this is a die that cooperates. Best to find out, I know that. Oh, thank God this is a die that it's just going to take two. I really didn't want to fight with this on the video. Some dies you have to fight with, some dies you don't. Thankfully this is a die I'm not going to have to. Again, just paint it on. I'm not trying to get it to like the very edge of it. I'm pretty much just allowing like the hair of the edge of the die to be missing liquid metal. I don't want to get it all the way to the very edge. but I will get as close to that edge as possible. But you gotta think of it. The die is smaller than the actual die area on the block. So even though I don't get to the very edge, when I put that block on, it's going to be on the very edge. Put just a hair more. Now the only reason why I'm adding a little bit more is because different spots on the die you may not be able to see on the camera, but different spots on this die, I can see where I'm lacking liquid metal, which means I don't have enough, and I can't pull enough over, because if I pull enough over, I'm going to lack in other spots, so I don't have enough on there. You want just enough liquid metal to cover the whole die. That's all you want. You don't want it to be puddled up, nothing. You want, I mean, although you'll never get an actual mirror finish, it's impossible. Just because, I mean, that's just how it is, but you want as close to a mirror finish as you possibly can. You don't want it puddled up, because if you have it puddled up, it's too much. You're wasting it at that point in time, and well, it's just too much. And yes, if you have it puddled up, you are risking the chance of the liquid metal falling off the die and then falling onto areas you don't want it to. But overall, liquid metal is applied. And there you go. There's your perfect application. It is not puddled up at all. All those marks, that's just like air bubbles. It's just gonna happen. It's not puddled up at all. So with that being said, got that done. I'm gonna zoom out and apply the block. Yikes, zoomed out too much. Now how this is going to go, I'm going to set that off to the side there. Now we come back to the block here. Alright, so one chip's there. Alright, so how this is going to set is this is going to go just like this. So with that being said, line her up. Drop her into place. I use the washcloth. Just give it just a little bit of pressure, not much. That's it. That's all she wrote. There's that. I don't need the liquid metal anymore. Here's that beautiful retention bracket, which that's going to go just like that. I'm going to jump right to installing that, because the faster I get that installed, then that water block is locked into place. And the faster I get this water block locked into place, the happier I'm going to be. I'm leaving that loose purposely so I have room to adjust this as I have to. This one I'm going to tighten right down, since I know it's in the correct spot now. Then this, I'll go back and tighten this down. That's tighten, that's tighten. Now I'm going to jump to these two. Get that retention bracket on there. Come on. There we go. Got that. And I got this right here. That's done, that's done. Now I'm gonna go to the back plate. Which I actually gotta go in my, which I gotta take it and see if I can, for some odd reason. I might have to pull the GPU back off, because I actually thought that I would be able to get this off without pulling this off, but I don't see that happening, so just give me one moment, please. See if I can do it with my screwdriver. Yep, I got it with my screwdriver. Oh wait, no, I don't. I need the Allen key. Allen key. Allen key. Ah, here it is. See, it's all raw, uncut. It is what it is. There, I got it off. Now, unfortunately, I'm going to have to pop that GPU off because there's a standoff that goes right here on the corner, and it's right here. It was stuck in the back plate. So I'm going to have to pop this GPU really quick. I should have seen that coming, but it's whatever. It's life. It happens. Just means I just have to, like, kind of refresh in the liquid metal if I have to. Which ain't no big deal. There's that, there's that. But maybe I can do this without having to actually pop the GPU. Yeah, no, I'm not going to play with it like that. I'm just going to pop it and do it correctly. But as you can see, the liquid metal, that was perfect. And I'm going to put the standoff in here where it should be in its proper home. And I'm just going to grab a Q-tip really quick. And I'm going to do a little drop of liquid metal here because it's obviously floated in different spots. There's that. Spread that around, get that all nice and happy. And no, again, it's not puddled up. I'm going to do the same exact thing on the GPU end. Sorry, I'm doing this off camera really quick. There, GPU end's taken care of. Now I'm going to drop this block again back on. There we go, it's back on. That's on, that's on. That's good. Now put this retention bracket back into place. Which, there we go, there's that. There's that. There's that. There's that. And here's the back plate. Drop the back. Actually, you know what? I almost forgot. I'll admit, I almost forgot it. There's a thermal patch for the back plate, which now I'm gonna drop the back plate on, which I'm almost positive I gotta. Yes, I do gotta put screws in there. But that is for. I just want to make sure. Alright, cool. So that's going to go on the back plate end, which is already going to... Okay, cool. Now I know how this goes. This back plate is sexy. Not bad. Not bad at all. Just lining up all the holes. Drop it in. She's nice and happy. Now I gotta get this beautiful Allen key out. Drop you there. That one's there. I'll put this one here in the corner. There we go, got that one there. Once I get one in each corner that I know I'm set for the rest of the block, then it's just a matter of tightening them all up. It's kind of weird because it almost feels like that it's not going, although it actually is. I've actually got the wrong size Allen key, which kind of explains why that was feeling weird. I need the smaller one, which, where did that smaller one go to? That's the bigger one. Need B, I'll just go to my socket set. Yeah, I'll just do that instead. That'll be quick. That's actually overall quicker for me. Find the one that fits. Nope, that ain't it. Just give me a moment. That ain't it. I think that's gonna be it. Nope, that one's a little too small. Bingo, got the money maker. Myself personally, I prefer my screwdriver over the Allen key. There, that one's set. That one's set. With that being said, now I'm gonna drop them all in because I've already got the back plate locked in. So it's kind of weird because I'm actually missing screws, which is fine because I'll just go back. I'll just use some of the factory ones on here. Yeah, I got two there, two. Oh, so I'm not missing them because the two that go in here are right here. So these are specifically the two for right here. So I'm not missing them. Although I think I still am because I'm pretty sure that those two are for this right here. Which that's gonna go here like this. Yeah, these two go here. But you know what? I'm willing to bet I could trade these out for the factory screws, so I'm gonna do that instead. Because I'm pretty sure, no, I'll just put the factory screws in there. This is what's kind of retarded, is because even the instructions manual for installing this block, they don't state nothing. They only state how many of these screws you get, and they state nothing for right here. Which, I mean, it's whatever. There's that, there's that. Now I'm just going to take and go around. Ah! Kind of would help to have my bit back. I'm just going to take and go around and make sure all these are nice and snug.